The recipe for vegan mayonnaise, which seems like a ridiculous thing to make. However, it means you don't have to use an egg, therefore it's cheaper. So it's kind of from that point of view kind of interesting. So what you use instead is you use the water from the cooked chickpeas. So either out of tin, or if you've cooked some chickpeas yourself at home, you use the water that you cooked the chickpeas in, not the water that you soaked the chickpeas in, but the water that you actually cooked the chickpeas in. It's aqua vita or something like that. It's called that. I forget. But anyway, so we're going to make it using the stick blender. We might change our mind halfway through. We'll see how we go. So, tablespoon and a bit of the chickpea water. So a tablespoon and a half. As you can you see that? It's a little bit gelatinous, is the chickpea water. So that and it's got protein in it, which is what the emulsifies the oil and the vinegar. So half teaspoon diesel mustard, and then we want a tablespoon of either lemon juice or white wine vinegar or white vinegar. So there we go. This is apple cider vinegar. That's what I've got. That's what I'm using. And then it's 250 milliliters of just a plain vegetable oil or sunflower oil, something like that. Doesn't want to be anything too centered when you're making mayonnaise, otherwise it can become overly powerful. So if you don't use pure olive oil, you can add a little bit of olive oil if you want the kind of taste of it, but it wants to be like a non-flavored oil the majority of the time. So we'll give that it's going to be noisy, but we'll give it a mix. So we'll turn it on first. We'll give it a mix, and then we're going to slowly pour the oil in, and what that will do is that will emulsify everything. So we'll see how it goes. I probably should have picked something not as tall as this, so it's going to be a little bit of a pain to get out, but there we go. So we'll give it a go, and we add it slowly, really slowly to start off with. So just do that to make sure that everything's mixing around properly. If it splits, we'll cross that bridge when we get to it, but we can fix that quite easily, splitting mayonnaise. it's starting to thicken up. As you can see, some of that will be a little bit the air that I whipped into it using the hand blender rather than a whisk, but it's getting there. Just takes a bit of time. I think what we'll do is we'll move it into a bowl. I did have a bowl somewhere. I do still have a bowl. And we'll mix it. And now we've started it off and it's emulsified. It'll be a lot easier to mix in. So we'll transfer to a bowl and finish off by hand. That on there. So where's my spatula? So you'll be able to see that it has gone thicker. It's the first stages of mayonnaise that's kind of quite difficult. Once you've got past that, it's relatively easy to make. So, throw that out in a bit. You want a cloth underneath, and then this is where it's a little bit tricky because it's whisk with one hand, pour with the other. So, but as you can see, it's quite thick already. There's just a little bit of a danger with making mayonnaise this way, that it's just not as thick as if you make it with an egg. But it's just an interesting thing to do. It's the actual, the more fat, the more oil that you add, the thicker it gets. So we'll see how far and how much oil we need to put in it. It's getting thicker. It's a while since I've made mayonnaise by hand. That's annoying. I always find it best to mix it over one side of the bowl, and then if it starts to split, what we can do is we can incorporate it by the, if the mayonnaise starts to split there, what we can do is we can whip it into this part here gently and then gradually whip it all back into itself. If we do it over one side of the bowl there, right. The last video was me frying chicken for 5 minutes, and I joked about it was a frying things, deep frying things channel, and today It's the Making Mayonnaise by Hand channel. So, as you can see, nice and thick. It's never going to be as thick as mayonnaise made with egg, if I'm honest, but it's alright. So I think what we can, so that was a recipe, and it's more like a thick salad dressing more than anything, but if you wanted to add it to vegan mayonnaise, but if you wanted to add it to egg mayonnaise, it'd certainly be alright. You just use less of it. I think what we'll do is we'll try and see if we can add more oil and see if we can get it thicker, and we'll use the blender, I think. So we'll try another, well, I'll measure out 200 millilitres, and we'll use the hand blender and do it that way. It looks like it's wanting to split. There you go, you swine, you split on me. Swine, 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 swine. They split, and I got a little bit annoyed with myself. So what we've done is we put the a little bit more of the chickpea water back into the hand blender with a little bit more mustard, and then what we're going to do is we're going to split mayonnaise that was thick, that's now gone thin. We're going to remake the mayonnaise using the split mayonnaise, if that makes sense. So, same process as before, whiskey these up, add this slowly. Give that a bit of a mix up. So, as you can see, that's how, if mayonnaise splits, you turn it back into mayonnaise. There you go. Oh, that's pretty thick, is that? Let's see if we can add the rest of it. Same process. It's just, I'm faffing. It's more of an experiment than anything. There we go. Actually, second time was a success. So it split, we fixed it, and we got a thicker mayonnaise. We use fresh stuff. So, vegan mayonnaise, if you're going to make it, use a hand blender to make it, and that will make it certainly a lot easier. What was the recipe? So it was like that's not bad that, eh? Not bad at all. Nice and thick. The recipe was a tablespoon and a half, actually probably 2 tablespoons of the chickpea water, half a teaspoon of diesel mustard, and 250 millilitres of oil, and then I also want a tablespoon of vinegar. So chickpea water, mustard, vinegar first, mix them all together, then slowly pour in the oil. If it splits, just repeat the process again, add the split mayonnaise back to it. But there you go, that's alright, is that? It tastes, there's no seasoning in it, so there's no salt and pepper, so it's quite, it just tastes like an unseasoned salad dressing stroke mayonnaise. But there you go, if you haven't got an egg, that's a suitable alternative, so that makes things a lot cheaper. So there we go. Vegan mayonnaise, who'd have ever guessed?